Hello everyone, I'm Matt Williamson. Your Steelers are still in first place and doing well on 11-11 with 2 losses. How about that? Great season so far. All right, let's dig further into this. And as we always do, snap counts. There were 78 snaps on offense, which is a big number and really paid off in terms of time of possession, wearing down the opponent. Dan Moore, Mason McCormick, Zach Frazier, Russell Wilson played all of them. Broderick Jones missed 1. Isaac Seumalo missed 2. George Pickens paced the wide receivers with 63 snaps. Jefferson was at 55. Darnell Washington outsnapped Freiermuth 50-45. They really like Washington. Also, there's some other Freiermuth stuff here to talk about. But Najee Harris, 37. Calvin Austin and Jaylen Warren, 35 apiece. Michael Pruitt, 34. And then it really drops off. Mike Williams only was out there for 9 plays. Same with Connor Hayward. Cordell Patterson for 8. Skoranek for 5. Spencer Anderson was out there for 4. Minkah Fitzpatrick for 3, which just means victory formation. You like when you see Minkah in the offensive stat sheet. And Calvin Anderson was out there for 1. Defensively, 64 snaps were played. Queen and Minkah didn't miss any. Porter only missed 1. TJ Watt, 56. Keanu Benton and Cam Hayward, 55 each. That's what I want to see. I mean, that's something I should have talked about yesterday is I want Benton to outsnap Ogunjobi. You know, if you're going to be a nickel, I want Benton out there more than he has been. You know what I mean? Alex Highsmith at 51. Dante Jackson, 45. Elliott, 45. It's kind of low for him. Roberts, 43. Ogunjobi, 39. Beanie Bishop still played 33. Preston Smith, 23. Cam Sutton, 19. And did a variety of things. KZ and Pierre and Peyton Wilson, 13 each. Now, that seems like a knock on Peyton Wilson. But on early downs and nickel, he wasn't out there. They wanted more of a run stuffer in Roberts. I don't think that's a knock on Wilson. They're just different types of players. Isaiah Loudermilk for 7. Dean Lowry for 2. He really hasn't done much as a Steeler. Miles Killebrew for 1. So nothing crazy there, but a bump for Benton, a bump for Roberts. That's obviously bye week stuff. And being a little bit better, a little stouter, a little bigger against the run. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. Watch the largest with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC and MMA. Head to BetOnline today and get on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. The Commanders had a season low 242 total yards in Week 10. They gained 25 plus total yards in only 2 of 12 offensive drives. So think about that. I mean, they had 12 offensive drives. Only 2 of them did they gain 25 yards or more. And that was in consecutive possessions to end the half, to start the half. Those were really their 2 legit drives. And remember, Washington, on a per drive basis, was about the most effective in the league. They were 1 or 2 in terms of scoring points on the number of drives. And coming into this game, they played 36 quarters of football and scored points in 34 of them. So they got 146 total yards on those 2 drives, 94 on their other 10. And one of those was quite penalty aided. I think Porter had at least 1 penalty on the first half drive, and the other one when there was a long ball to McLaurin. It was like a 54-yarder or whatever. Not that stuff doesn't count, but it also explains it. 5 3-and-outs. Again, they had very little coming into this game. 6 total punts. Both are season high. So they use a lot of read option. And a huge key to the read option is they will read the edge player, the defensive end, TJ Watt or Highsmith. And what the Steelers do, and I'm sure they'll do the same to Lamar, and they did a lot of it to Daniel Jones too, is those guys can play it a certain way so that it doesn't give the illusion, but pushes the quarterback to hand the ball off or give it to the back. That's what they wanted. And they almost forced Daniels to hand the ball off pretty much like every time. And then they'd still hit him at times, but that can lead to running backs, Tyrone Tracy in the Giants game, having some big games, but it puts punishment on your quarterback and it doesn't allow those guys to beat you running the football. It's kind of the Lamar rules, and it worked quite well. 5 rushing yards for Jaden Daniels in this game. And what I wanted to say, though, is it's really a testament to Watt and Highsmith, Preston Smith too, but he's new around here, that they have the discipline, the smarts, and frankly put their ego to the side. Because if you were TJ Watt, and let's say you're TJ Watt and you're the most selfish human being ever, and you're just saying, I'm going to go out and all I care about is my sack total. Well, you wouldn't play this way. You know what I mean? Like, you're putting the team first. And I just wanted to commend those guys for that. As we were talking about 3-and-out stuff, they only had 13 3-and-outs all year coming into this game. And 46% of their drives had gotten into the opposing 20, into the red zone. The Steelers forced 6 3-and-outs on 12 possessions. They also allowed just 2 trips inside the 20 on 11 possessions that didn't already start inside the 20 because they had one that they were handed to, on the fake punt. They gained 242 yards total. That's 50 fewer than its worst game this season. This is a really good offense. And again, 140 of that came on 2 drives. And McLaurin did have a 54-yarder on one of them. And one of them, there was a couple penalties. Again, that stuff matters. But still, Washington had 105 yards on its 3 biggest plays. Outside of that, they struggled to consistently move the ball because the Steelers really limited this rushing attack. They were averaging 160 yards per game. They ended up with 60 in this one on 22 carries, 2.7 yards per carry, including a very, very, very good running quarterback. We saw much more Steelers blitz in this game. 51% blitz rate, very high. They've been near the bottom of the league in blitz. So we talked about some of the Benton Roberts stuff, but they obviously went back to the drawing board a little bit for this game, but also coming out of the bye. Their pressure rate, though, wasn't great. It was only 34%. It was fine. But as we mentioned yesterday, the ball came out in 2.54 seconds. That's really, really quick. Hard to get pressure, hard to get sacks, but you force the ball out of their hands quickly. I also thought they did a lot more stuff, and I put that in quotes. Less base cover 3. I mentioned Sutton was used in a lot of roles all over the field. That's 100% true. A little more coverage, disguising and changing at the snaps. Really good defensive game plan. Washington's offense had 9 negative plays in this game. That's a ton. I thought Benton was a real force rushing the passer in particular. Talked before about how all the edge guys really did their job. And the defensive front, to me, the more I watched this game the second time, was really, really good. Defensive front was probably the best thing the Steelers did. And frankly, that's their best position group. Sort of a rough day for all the corners. Definitely was. But I thought Terry McLaurin was maybe the best player in the field. I thought he was awesome. And I was impressed with Noah Brown. Noah Brown's somebody I wish the Steelers would have grabbed when Houston let him go and been probably the number 2 receiver here. McLaurin caught all 5 of his catchable targets for 113 yards and 4 first downs. 3 of those catches were at least 15 yards. He caught 3 of his 4 contested targets and averaged an impressive 3.32 yards per route run on the day. It's a very big number. Pickens was at 3.4. Just is throw that out there. 82 of his receiving yards came from passes thrown at least 10 or more yards downfield. Only Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase have more yards from these 10 or more yard downfield targets this year than McLaurin. So they throw him the ball well down the field and he's really, really good. Again, the corner day looked worse than it was because 20.6% of Daniel's throws were into a tight window. They define that however Next Gen Stats defines it, but he made tight throws. That was the second highest of the season for him. And the other one was against Washington. That's two of the Washington's losses. Baltimore and the Steelers made Daniels throw into tight windows. He did it well, but still it wasn't easy for him. On the other side of the ball, Steelers are now averaging 30.3 points per game when Russell Wilson starts. Wilson's on pace for his best season by EPA since 2015, which was probably his best season of his career. He's also on pace for the second lowest success rate in his career. That's not great, but that just shows how boom or bust Pittsburgh's passing game still is. I mean, it can be hit or miss, but then boom. I mean, so the consistency needs to improve. This is crazy. So I know a lot of you don't really know EPA stuff really, really well, but it's a cumulative stat. You add these expected points. And he is on deep ball EPA. He is sixth amongst all quarterbacks. Why is that crazy? Because this is a cumulative stat. That's only 3 games. That's like saying he's sixth in passing yards, even though he's only played 3 games. You know what I mean? So what he's accumulating on just deep balls is kind of historic. He's only thrown 1 interception, but we didn't talk about this as much as we should have yesterday. It was a 3rd down deep ball arm punt. So it was a smart interception. He's fumbled only once. He's only taken 8 sacks, even though his pressure rate against has been really high. So he's eluded a lot of sacks too or bought time. So basically playing mistake-free football, give or take. As you would think on those deep balls, 20 or more yards, he's first in EPA per play. His success rate against Washington was only 37%. That's low, but the big plays hit. So that made up for it. We also saw less play action in this game than the other Wilson starts. I'm not exactly sure why, but just wanted to point that out. He was under pressure on 47% of his dropbacks. Really high number. Pass protection has not been great. All right, what about Pickens? Pickens averaged 60.5 yards per game in his first 6 with Fields. Over his past 3, that's up to 92 yards per game. And he's caught his 2 touchdown passes. That being said, there was also felt like a million plays that didn't end up in the box score in those first 6 games that Pickens made on defensive pass interference calls or a touchdown that came back because of a hold or something like that. But that being said, clearly he's been way more productive with Russell Wilson. Mentioned Williams did not play a ton of snaps, but he ran 7 routes, Mike Williams. 1 target for 1 touchdown. You'll take that. Patterson returned to the lineup. Cordell. He played a few snaps as the only running back in the backfield, a few snaps at receiver when they went empty, and a few as a pure wide receiver when Jaylen Warren was on the field. So now that he's healthy, I'm really interested. Is he now equal parts wide receiver and running back? Probably not quite. I mean, probably still heavier running back, but still, that's interesting to me. This is the Freiermuth thing. Since Michael Pruitt returned from injury, Pat Freiermuth's playing time has declined a little each week. This was the second time this season that he was held under 60% of Pittsburgh's offensive snaps. This has been going on all year. I don't quite understand the usage of Freiermuth, to be very honest. Steelers were 3 of 4 in the red zone in this game. Getting the red zone 4 times used to be like unheard of for the Steelers offense. Now it's kind of regular. And of course, the only failure was the Warren lost fumble on the 1. Bummer, but it sure looked like they were going to score that one too. Last little nugget here. As mentioned, pass protection was a problem. I thought this was sort of a rough game by McCormick overall. But the bar is low, but I would say Broderick Jones played a pretty good game. I thought he had fewer bad plays than I can remember. Like not knowing who to block or snap count or getting his feet all crooked and crossed over. I saw a lot less of that in this game. So take it with a grain of salt. It's a start. It's something to get encouraged with. Maybe he's turning a corner after the bye. I think that you're allowed to get better, folks. All right, take care.